Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Tung and I'm an inspiring software developer. I've been meaning to make this video for so long now and I finally am able to do it. This video will be on Ionic storage and how to manage your data using the CRUD pattern for Ionic apps. So without further ado, as you guys can see here on my screen, there are two important command lines that you need to be aware of when you're using Ionic storage. The first one is to import the Ionic storage module into your app, and the second one is to create a service. So remember how in the previous video I've been saying to use servers when you're dealing with Ionic storage? Well, here it is. Basically what a service does is it acts as a singleton. So being a singleton, whenever you want to do anything with database or storage, it is highly recommended that you use a service because, well, in a service you are able to have your storage to be initialized for a specific table or database. So in here, for example, I have my contacts database saved, whereas in the previous video I had it saved in my TypeScript file for my contact page. And so in the service I would have my contacts saved in here. In the case that you have multiple databases to work with, it is recommended that you have multiple different services that would have one specific service assigned for one specific database for your app to be simplified. Once you have individually inputted those two commands into your terminal, you would have a service. So basically I created an empty service directory, and the command line for the service will create these two files, a service.spec.ts and a service.ts. So the spec one, I'm assuming, is for your unit testing, and then your service is for your entire app. And then I just move those two files into the service directory. Now to have your Ionic storage to successfully work, you need to make your way to the app.module.ts page. Import the Ionic storage module from the Ionic storage Angular module that you just imported using the command as a root module for your entire app to be able to use it. Once you finish that, just make sure that you input it in the correct command so you can make your way to the app.module.ts file, and then make sure that no files were created unexpectedly and no unexpected paths were created. Once you've made sure that both of your commands in line were imported correctly, you would then make your way to the contacts page.ts and see the drastic differences between my previous code and this video. I've taken the liberty to make sure that all of my code were running smoothly and my app were performing as expected. And so I've coded this before shooting this video. So in the last video, I had all of my contacts saved into my contacts.page.ts. So all of this was saved in here. And I just used the create, edit, and delete methods in relation to my model page. This video, however, because now I have service, I would import storage. So import Ionic storage and make sure that whatever I perform into my database, it would be saved into the storage, and then have the raw data from my contacts database saved into my service.ts file. I have created three different functions. So an init for initialization function, a create user function, and a retrieve user function. I'll walk you through what each function does. So in my initialize function, I have initialized a storage variable, and so basically I've told that storage variable to create a storage whenever my app loads. And then in the init function, I have set the contact's raw data in my database to be stringified with this contact. So this contact should be stringified with this variable, which is the contacts variable. And there are two different important methods for the Ionic storage for you to understand: a set method and a get method. A set method basically sets whatever you or the database inputs in to the storage and have the storage to save it and to memorize it. And the get method is to use when you want to get something out from the database. And so that is pretty much my three functions. You are welcome to name your functions to however you might like. Now, in terms of the model and how to use the CRUD pattern into your Ionic app, it's pretty much the same thing as last video. So I had my add contact button in my HTML page, and then I would go into my TypeScript file, having my TypeScript file to create a model and having the model to do pretty much the same thing as I've explained in the last video, and then having it to be able to retrieve the data and putting it into my function. Another important key is that I have imported the contact service class, which is this class when I create a new contact service file, and having it imported into the contact.page.ts file. Now I will be able to use any of the functions that I have initialized and declared in my service file. So after I have my user finish creating a new contact from the add contact button in the HTML page, that will lead into the model page via the add contact function in the page.ts. I would then have on line 30 having the create contacts method, which is the method that I would then initialize, having that to be passed into the data of whatever the input was, and having the contacts of empty array, which I declared up here, to be pushed by whatever the value that was inputted by the user, and have contact service, which is my service, to get the create user methods, and then put whatever the value that was in the contacts array, and having that to be saved into my storage. Now the difficult thing is, how do I edit a specific contact from a specific index from my database? So as I've explained in the previous video, indexes starts from 0, then they will continue. So Barnaby will be 0, Gina 1, Haley 2, Ibini 3. Now with the edit function, I would have had the same Angular for loop, having the index as I. So I would get the index of a specific contact that I would want to edit, and pretty much do the same thing as I did in the model as I've explained in the last video. Now upon dismissing from the model, I would then use an update contacts function that I just created in the TypeScript file, having it to be able to pass whatever the user has edited for a specific index, and then having the index to be rewritten from the storage, and then having my create user method from my service to get whatever the user has inputted and save it into the storage. Now with the delete method is pretty much the same thing as edit, except you're removing it. So I'm using a splice method here, and I'm getting the index of that specific method, and I'm basically splicing it. And then I would have my create user from my service to be able to remove the user completely from the database. Alright, so this is what the app should look like. Now, when you're working with database for your Ionic app, you're essentially working with the index database from your application. If you're using Chrome, basically you would want to right click, go to inspect, then navigating to the application page. Once you're in there, you would be able to have your index DB tab for your storage. Go down to Ionic storage, and it should have all of your raw data with the key contacts. So my database key name is contacts, and it should have all the value there. Yep, I should be able to click refresh and having all of my raw data be presented. Now I will be able to click add new, and then I could do test because it's just a test, and then having it to be displayed here. Once I click refresh, I would be able to see it getting updated on here. Test, and test. I can show you another way to have all of your value to be updated. So if you just add new again, and then test 1. Now this says data might be stale. So if you just click refresh on your Ionic storage, it should be able to be updated. So yes, test 1 and test 1. Now even if you click refresh again, test 1 and test 1. Now I'm going to show you that it actually works. So I'm going to exit and quit this current process, then open it again. So after I've quit the last session, all of my raw data should still be there, and it is still there. So I can click contact and show you it's there. Now if you want to delete a specific index, so this index should be -2 because reverse index. I can click delete, and data might be stale, and it was deleted. So now I can refresh again, and it is still deleted. Now I can click to edit, and I can importing into some number. Data might be stale, and it was updated. Now I can refresh again, go to my contacts, and it is still updated. So there you go. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching it. I hope that you have learned a thing or two throughout watching this video. And as per usual, the source code will be uploaded onto GitHub and will be linked in the description down below. But yeah, thank you so much for watching the video. Until the next one, take care and bye!